I wish I had a theme song. I think I need a theme song for coming on. Hey, ho. All right, what's up, everybody? It is February 16th, the 16th day of Black History Month. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for everyone that's going to watch the replay. Thank you for everyone that's been following along for the whole month. I've been enjoying these talks, and today's talk is on code switching prevents change. Yes, code switching, assimilation, alignment, those words. We've been speaking about that for the entire segments that I've been doing. But today we're going to get down to the nitty gritty of it. And what is code switching? Well, let me give you a nerdy version. Got my notes right here. Got my notes right here. Got my notes right here. All right. I got my notes. All right. I'm in the mood. Okay. So code switching, basically what we all know is when people go to the workplace or go to specific environments where they feel that they may be, not meeting the standard of and aligning and assimilating in different ways by not being themselves when they go in, changing the way that they walk, change the way that they talk, change the way that they enter into a space, to try to align with those there, you know. Many people think that I talk white, so they assume I'm code switching because I speak this way. No, this is my real voice. This is really how I actually show up, honestly. And I've never really felt the need to do that. I mean, yeah, I may not be as animated when I enter into a space, but I think that that's not really a form of code switching. Code switching is when you literally are erasing your identity. Put it that way. You're trying to shrink yourself to be in this professional or safe space, right? You're not aligning with who you truly are. You're walking away from what makes you you. So even how you voice yourself, like I'm kind of a loud talker. Some people would go in and shrink how they talk and be more soft when they talk, and change it, try to use the biggest of words when they talk, get more professional. And remember, professionalism isn't real. It's a construct. It is an identity or ideology that we have created, society has created to say that someone should be. This is what you are, it to be professional. It's not real. It's not real. It's something that has been created to make it seem as though this is what you should be, all about assimilation. I've been speaking about this throughout the segments, assimilation and aligning with the idea of how you should walk, how you should talk, how you should dress, right? If you have tattoos, hiding your tattoos, piercings, hiding your piercings, all these types of things. Even me, like when I'm wearing my earrings, this wouldn't be considered professional. But why? They're gorgeous. Blue intensifies my words. Blue is for communication. So what would be wrong with my earrings except that you just don't like them because you assume that that's not professional, but professionalism isn't real. So for me to code switch what I'm wearing, this is not what we viewed as professional. And don't get me wrong, I wear my headbands when I enter into corporate spaces because this is what makes me who I am. But some people fear being who they are. And I'm here today to say this is not what we should be doing. We should not be doing that. Hey, how are you doing? How are you doing? I'm talking about code switching. That's today's topic for Black History Month. I've been doing these segments since the beginning of February. Mind you, February is Black History Month for those that don't know. And I'm speaking about what we should have learned or what we need to learn from Black History Month. And, mind you, this is the 100-year anniversary of Black History Month. So these talks are to try to focus on what we have learned or what we haven't learned and what we need to learn. So it's not necessarily getting deep down into Black History Month based on aspects of our Black history, but more what society has not learned and what we need to learn from Black history to move forward to have a fair and inclusive society and workspace and just inclusivity overall so that we all are able to advance and be the greatest of ourselves and contribute to this amazing world. Oh, thank you. That's the idea. I am a queen, boo. This is how I envision myself in the mirror, so I need to dress that way. And I literally have a theme song in my head, so y'all see me bobbing, that's what I'm about. But yes, this is all about code switching. And like even how I'm representing myself, this would not be deemed as professional. You know, we live in a world where everyone assumes you're supposed to look a cookie cutter way, be a cookie cutter way, and that's something that we should have, which we should be learning from Black History Month. That code switching or shrinking ourselves to align within a space is not going to enact change in society. It's not going to work towards change in the workplace, because how can we create change if we're not even being true to ourselves? If we're not being true to ourselves, that means that we're not truly loving ourselves, right? So the idea is for us to just be who we are. That's what makes us an individual. That's what allows us to be creative and innovative. And that's what allows the world to be a better place, because we're able to add to the world and provide more to the world because we are being ourselves. So with that being said, why shouldn't you code switch outside of it not allowing change and contributing to change? Well, of course, because you're not living your true self. So that means it's resulting in burnout, stress, just disconnection from your own identity, and you even looking in the mirror and not even recognizing yourself, but recognizing what you think you should be, or what you think people think you should look like, or how you talk, or how you walk, or how you enter into the workspace. And if you can't show up as your true self, how are you going to have courage and have, the confidence, right? The belief in yourself to do what you need to do. And if you don't believe in yourself, how are you motivated to even go about and be successful? That's something you cannot do. You can't do it. So when we look at how do we go about learning from this and looking to the past and why it's important for us to move in this way and to act in this way, well, learning from that is recognizing that those that help to move us into a equal society through the history of Black history, of looking at the past of Black history, it shows that we have to be defiant, right? And we cannot fall victim to what other people may do. Fear is crippling, and fear keeps you from moving forward. That is one thing that Black History Month teaches you. And if we don't learn from that, how can we prevent that from coming again, right? We need to not move back to the past, but move to the future. And we can only do that by being honest about what the present is. And the present is focusing on us truly standing in our own identity, recognizing that and not being afraid to do that. And then from there, helping others to do that as well. And only then can true acceptance of equality be a thing. And only then can the understanding of, when I say equality, this is for all. The understanding that how we can move forward is not about alignment and assimilation. It's about the acceptance of all, not dumbing down your voice so that you don't sound aggressive or intimidating, acting a certain way. Even some avoid eye contact when they talk to people. This is something that is learned behavior, especially amongst Black culture, because of the fear that comes with looking the master in the eye, which can result in you even being lynched and hung, because that was a thing of the past. And those same systemic actions of people fearing to be in a space, from one, looking in leadership's eye, to leadership not wanting you to look them in the eye, or wanting you to be fearful when they speak to you, and you dumbing yourself down and cowering instead of standing up and being in yourself. These are the lessons of Black history that we all need to learn from, so that we cannot enact them currently, presently, and into the future. And then to call out when we see those actions as well, because accountability will not happen if we're not willing to call it out when we see it, right? Because when we're allowing ourselves to assimilate, or others, and align, then that means that we can't eliminate the division. You can't eliminate something if you don't want to admit that it's there. And if you're not willing to admit that it's there because you're too afraid to, then you are a contributor to the continued suppression. And we are not here to continue the suppression. We are here to move forward and enact change. And that can only start with you embracing what makes you great, embracing why you've been created to do and think and have the ideas that you have. And that goes along with when we're in the workspace. And assimilation not only comes with how we look, but how we think, right? not embracing our ideas, holding back our thoughts because we're afraid that someone may not like what we have to say. We're afraid that someone might steal our idea. Now, no one's going to steal your idea first and foremost if you're protecting your idea. That's first and foremost. Always protect your ideas, maintain control of your power, and don't give away your power away. And then when you're ready to enact and deal and put out what makes you great, no one can change that. No one can take that because it is yours and you own it. But that's first and foremost. And that all starts with you not being fearful of why or who you are. And it also goes into you ensuring accountability into how you show up into these spaces and how you carry yourself in these spaces and your willingness to use what makes you great. Because when you assimilate your thinking, then you're falling into the rat race of what is not real, what is not about you, and that is just punishing yourself because you're not being authentic. And then you're probably then left stuck and complaining. I speak about this also in the past talks that I've had about, us holding in and dealing with what's not really what's burdening us. And that burden is basically our fear of movement. And that's why change doesn't enact and doesn't happen. So it's important for us to, create spaces where we all feel safe and to not accept abuse, to not accept forms of suppression, because that's what abuse is. And abuse is what's going to cower you. How can we move forward if we're fearful? How can we move forward if not we're not ensuring accountability? If we're not working to relieve the pressures of code switching? Because that's all it is. It's just pressure. And pressure can be released. Open the valve. Let the pressure out. Let it out. Don't be afraid. Like, let's move forward. And the only way to move forward is to be honest and true with yourself first and foremost, because only then can everyone else be honest and true, because they'll see you standing in your true self. Then it'll make them to embrace their true self. And it's not just about how you walk or talk or dress. It's also how you think. And that's why it's important to move forward with confidence and motivation and ensuring accountability along the way while speaking up, protecting yourself, and not allowing others to steal your shine. Now, that's the key to true change. And that's what's going to drive change, because only then can we prevent these forms of suppression, prevent these forms of policing how we speak and how we talk. Even down to our hair, how we're addressing how we show up in the world. And we have to also remember that culture comes from leadership. Culture in society is implemented and created based on the ideas that we allow to be upheld from thought leaders and all this and that. We're allowing these types of cultures to go on. So if we're enacting or allowing, because we really didn't enact it, these are things that are coming from past. So it's us not calling it out and not ensuring accountability of it. And when we do call it out, we can't just sweep it under the rug and, oh, okay, it's all good, and then we forgive, and then we come back, turn our head again, and then it's happening again. That's something that we do have to stop doing in society, and that's something that we keep doing. We need to ensure accountability, and then when ensuring accountability does not mean we're chastising and then we move on about it. No, it's that it never happens again. And that is one lesson that we have not really learned as well when it comes to looking to the past and how we need to ensure that as we move forward. Is ensuring accountability is not just about calling it out. It's about ensuring that it never happens again. And that means ensuring that we're going to stay true to the understanding that inclusivity and the acceptance of all is what it really is. It's not we're going to pretend, but what it is. And that's why we're having these talks. That's why I'm enjoying these talks. That's why I'm glad you guys are showing up for these talks, because I'm having a great time. I'm enjoying it. I'm showing up, being my authentic self, hoping that I'm inspiring you to be your authentic self. And then we can create a real, true, authentic world where people can be themselves, not be fearful of how they look, how they walk, how they talk, how they think, right? Stop dumbing down how you think. Stop allowing people to sway how you think. Your ideas are what make you great. Your ideas are what's going to drive change. That's the key. And that's something that they don't want, because they want you to stay in the rat race of thinking like everyone else. We can't be like everyone else because we aren't the same. That's why this whole thing is strange, and why I have to keep doing these talks, and everyone else has these talks, and society is having these talks, and it's all because of the idea that we all are the same when we're not. Yes, we are all human, but we are not all the same human. We are all individuals, hence the word, which is why we have to have individual thought. And from that individual thought, we move forward into a collective that embraces all, a collective that does not suppress others because they are different or for whatever reason. It's moving forward. It's a change in the system. It's a reorganization of the system and ensuring the system is not built on suppression and systemic barriers, but built on inclusivity, built on the understanding that the human is the key to life. The human is the key to business success. The human is the key to evolution. The human is the key to creation. So that means we must be humane. And in order for us to be humane, we must be the change. So that's my talk for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, be the change and push forward with the human approach, and creating spaces that are humane, because we're the ones that are driving society. And society is driven on greed and money. And us driving society means we are the true drivers of business, right? Or just the idea of business. And businesses are built on the understanding of us showing up and working, right? So we go to work, we get paid. We go work, we get paid. When we get paid, we're going to buy something. And what we buy determines what is held up in society, right? And powers that be, they market to us. So they're marketing to us to try to tell us what we should buy. So that's when you stay in your true, authentic self of what should be bought and what shouldn't be bought, where you should work, where you shouldn't work, how you work, and how work should be benefiting you. Because that is part of your rights. A lot of people don't understand that. You have a right to a fair wage, a sustainable wage. It's a part of the Bill of Rights, honey. It's part of the Bill of Rights. If you don't know, check your Bill of Rights. Check your Bill of Rights. So when we look around and we see that we don't have a living wage, we don't have a place to live and all of these types of things, these are our rights as Americans. If you're an American, it's part of your rights, which is another reason how we go about daily not realizing that our rights are being violated. But that's for another discussion. All right, I'll leave you with these thoughts. And until then, I'll see you tomorrow. And until then, hey, make sure to catch the replay. Get ready to go. I hope you have a good day. Okay? All right. I'll see y'all later. Love yourself and others. Bye.